Beep. As a producer, you have to know your strengths, your weaknesses. And when I approach a collab, this is the mentality I take. In today's video, I want to show you guys my collab with Simenga that just came out today. If you guys want to check it out fully, I'll leave the Spotify link in the description. I'm going to show you guys some cool things I did for the track. So Simenga sent me this during a feedback stream. I loved the version of the song that had this as the first drop because it leads into my first addition into this track, which is the melody that happens on the B part of the drop. Bring it back like that. Now, I'm a huge believer that our interests will come from songs we've heard before, and it's very safe for me to know where this inspiration came from, even though it was subconscious. You guys have ever watched The Boondocks? The style of melody the intro of that show has. Now for this synth, I used the Moog Matriarch. However, you don't need an analog synth to make it sound like this. In fact, I want to show you guys what I did to make it sound more interesting. Now, as a sound designer, I know that majority of the main leads in music nowadays is saw-based. So the name of the game is usually how do you accentuate the melody you have, if it's epic, if it's sad, if it's emotional. From there, I utilized an envelope to give it that plucky sound. From there, I also added this release so that it sounds like it flows. Now from there with synths, you have a couple of things to make your sound interesting. The first thing is that you can use LFOs and try and put it on stuff to give it a certain vibe. For this one, I decided to use an LFO on the filter, but I didn't want to open it up all the way. I just wanted it to give movement, especially since the track is very goofy. I know in combination with this and some resonance, it's going to give me a very... So if you ever want to make your lead sound a little interesting, consider adding LFOs and play around. Like for instance, on the level, I could have done the same. Now, when I do collabs and the song is somewhat fully done, these are my favorite collabs because I hear stuff the producer doesn't hear and I can bring in the final touches. So I always like to do a lot of like little ear candy parts. From there, I wanted to amp up the bridge of the song because it just needed it. Before, it sounded like this. So I decided to do here is create a sound for this buildup, which sounds really dope. And I call it the Maurice West Dirtybird Tech House version. Also for this, I wanted it to have more of a swingy vibe like it was in sync. So if you wanted to do something similar, what you would do is use your filter like so. Have the sound you want to use it on, and you're going to put your LFO here. Turn the rate off. And then you're going to play it and record it. I'm a huge believer in trusting the idea of other people, so I'm always looking for ways to just make their idea smack a lot harder. For example, here we have a very basic beat. Now I wanted to add accents at the end of every 4 bars. And then we repeat it again, but now we add another clap just to add more variation. Another tool that I also really like to use is this notepad that Elephant released. He's another YouTuber. And the notepad is super clutch because as you can see, I wrote down some notes for him. And then from there, me and him would kind of decide, oh, this is valid, this is not. From there, one of the last things that I did was create more vocal emphasis, vocal variation, vocal jumps. One of the things with sample pack vocals that sucks is that you don't have ad-lib, you don't have layers. So what I did for this track was pretty much grab the vocal and create that myself, utilizing Vocal Synth 2 from Isotope. And it's really cool. I personally enjoy using this thing to create glitches. Bring it back like that. I'm a heartbreaker. I'm a heartbreaker. I'm a heartbreaker. Like a soul shaker, 90s old school radar. That girl in yesterday's paper, front page news, legitimate heartbreaker. Shaking it like. So you can use vocal synth to accent certain parts of the vocal, and that's what I did. I just cut out like heartbreaker vocals that you want to accent. This creates more of a depth, 3-dimensional feel to your song rather than a 2D one that sounds like a tech house producer just dropped the vocal and didn't really do much else with it. Now, when working with a label, you're gonna have to get on your knees and you're gonna have to take it. And one of the things the label decided to do that I just wasn't a fan of, but we decided to go with it but when the label decided to cut majority of the vocal in the first part of the song, I was like,
It like a soul shaker, 90s old school raver.
This is at 33, 1 minute in. Back then we had it like this, and I thought it was the best because as a song it made sense. We have the hook, and then we have a beat part chorus to it.
It like a soul shaker, 90s old school raver. That girl in yesterday's paper, front page news, legitimate heartbreaker. Shake it.
And it flows really well.
Shaking it like a soul shaker, 90s old school raver.
However, the label wasn't a fan of that since it's a more tech house oriented label, so we decided to, okay, we'll listen to the label. Yes, master. Yes, master. Now for the bass, Simenga utilized sub-boom bass, which I don't have, but this is the MIDI for it if anyone is interested. I know people are always asking like how to make bass lines and stuff.
Shaking it like a soul shaker, 90s old school raver.
When working on a collab, you want to know your strengths and what you can bring to the table, and you want to make sure you know the strengths of the other producer as well. Simenga is really good at making good grooves, and like again, I really admire that from him. I love his sound, so when I heard this, I was like, let me jump on it. I can add some melodies, can bring the vocal to life a bit more. Hopefully there's some good info in here for you guys to utilize in your next track. And if you guys want to check this song out, I'll leave the link in the description. Let me know what you think. Now, if you guys want to continue your knowledge forward, I did make a video about how Medusa makes their leads. Medusa showed in a reel how they actually make their leads, and it's one of the coolest things to see because I learned a lot from that, and I learned saturation is key. But make sure to check it out so that you can see what else I learned in order to make fat Medusa leads.